Okay, so I think we're live. A little late, um, but I was over at Hoosier Cold Case watching his live. Hey, Miranda Lee, how are you? Good to see you. Um, Always good to catch Hoosier Cold Case whenever he's on. Uh, and plus, I was watching the Celtics game, so I was funny because I was going to do a cold case coming out of Michigan. Um, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to postpone that. I might do another live tonight on that, but let me see if I can bring that up. Um, I have it in my email because I didn't want to forget it. Hold on a second. What's the name? Paige Renkowski. I was going to do that tonight, but I can't because I got to go over this case. But I'll be doing that soon too. All right, so let me play my intro and I'll be right back. Hope everybody's doing well. Discord? How long ago do you think? Hey, Dandy, how are you? I'll be right back. I'm going to play my intro and then get into this case. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, Kind of in and out of the raindrops here. I'll be right back. All right, so that's that. Yeah, I got Discord thing. I just not the greatest at it yet. I've been trying to get. I got Think Tank on there. I got a couple other people that I follow on Discord, but I haven't actually set up a Discord yet. So I got to figure that out. But anyways, I want to thank everybody for coming in. It's good to see Miranda Lee. It's good to see Dandy. Right, so I think. Let me see here. Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. Hey, Jocelyn, how are you? Good to see Jocelyn in here. Hope everybody's doing well. It's Memorial Day weekend, so all of us, my thoughts, anyways, go to veterans and stuff, and people who have, you know, uh, passed for sure. Especially this weekend here is good for that. So let's. What am I doing? This here. All right, so I want to do a little bit about the Connecticut River Valley guy, but I want to give a little bit of a background on this here because I've been following this case for forever, literally. But I got into this case, I got into the Connecticut River Valley serial killer because I was doing some work on the Mindy West case, and this is Mindy West right here. There was, I think, 2 or 3 serial killers piggybacking off of each other here in New England for 20 years or so. You had the Connecticut River Valley guy. You could throw in some Israel Keys in there too, because he was responsible for, I think, one unaliving in Vermont, but I don't think he did anything else up here. Then you had the Maine South Woodsman guy, which happened a little bit later than that. And then you had, in between that, you had the other Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut guy. But we'll go over that. But I started getting involved in this case when I was doing the Mindy West case back in 1998, because I knew Mindy West. I used to go to the same school with her, lived on the same street as her, so that's why I did that. Has anybody seen Southern Gal? I haven't seen her in a while. I hope she's doing all right. Anyway, so Mindy West was a good kid. I knew her way back. And she just, I don't know what happened to her. She was a really smart kid and got into some trouble and was found unalive back in 1998 over here in New Hampshire and Manchester. She was into SWing and drugs and stuff like that, but still her case needs to be solved. But people don't really care too much about these cases here, so I try to help out when I can. So, all right, so we're going to get into. Let me stop sharing this here. I just wanted to give people a background on that. I think I have 3 lives on Mindy West and Rosalie Miller, and then I have 2 lives on the Maine South Woodsman guy, and then I have 3 lives on the Connecticut River Valley guy here. But let's hold on a second. Let me stop sharing this here. And but there's been some news in the Connecticut River Valley case here this week. So let me share that here. Give me a second. I should have all this information in a file somewhere, but I don't. All right, so here. I know that Gray Hughes has been doing a lot on this too. Kudos to him for that. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 victims. There's technically 8 victims. Some people think there's more. But this person here is the only survivor that witnessed this guy here. And she has her own podcast too. And I got that scrolling across the bottom here. Yes, definitely Honor the Fallen for sure. Not just the fallen too, but the families. Families are in there too. But this victim here was the only person that actually survived after a brutal attack. but all these other victims here did not. Um, I'm a person that I don't think that all of these are connected to one person, but they could be, and that's how law enforcement seems to think they are. So let me see here. So I'm going to kind of read this, and then, like I said, I've done 3 videos on this already. Um, so these unalivings happened between 1978 and 1988. And they're all basically in the same, go here, uh, vicinity. So, can anybody see that? Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, Ruckus, what's up, buddy? Hey, we went up 3-0 tonight. That's awesome. So this is a map of the area here. This is Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire. But the Upper Valley is part of this whole area where all these victims were found. So they're found basically along the Connecticut River here in New Hampshire and Vermont. So let me go back here. So let's see here. Skeletal remains of 2 victims were recovered within 1,000 feet of each other in a wooded area of Kellyville, New Hampshire. And that's where the police were just at this over the last couple of days. They were searching a house in Kellyville, New Hampshire, which is basically part of Newport. And I can show you where they were searching in a couple seconds. Forensic examination indicated multiple stab wounds between the recovery of the first and second bodies. The 36-year-old woman was unalived to death in a frenzied attack outside her home in Saxons River, Vermont. This is the one here that I don't think is related, but all right. So let's see here. The victims here: Kathy Milliken left work and went to the Chandler Brook Western Preserve in New London, in New Hampshire, where she was photographing birds. The next day, her body was found with 29 stab wounds and was found only yards from where she was last seen. Elizabeth Critchley, University of Vermont, disappeared. She's the one that went down to Massachusetts and then hitchhiked back to Waterbury, Vermont, and she was found. I forget where she was found. She was found in Unity, I think, Unity, New Hampshire. Let me go here for a second, though. Okay, so here's Unity, New Hampshire here, but this is all part of the Upper Valley here. This is basically Western New Hampshire, where all of these victims were pretty much found. So let's go back here to this. Bernice Quartermatch was last seen at her boyfriend's mother's house in Claremont, New Hampshire on May 30th, 1984. She was going to her boyfriend's house in Newport, which is basically part of the same area. She did not reach her destination and was reported missing. On April 19th, 1986, a fisherman happened upon Quartermatch's remains near the Sugar River in Newport, New Hampshire. So she also was found with evidence of knife wounds and injury to the head or throat and all of that stuff. So, so these are all the victims here. This guy here is a sketch, and then Jane Borowski, of course, was the only survivor, and we're going to go over her tonight too. So what I want to do now is get out of here and play this here. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Good to see you. I just saw you in Who's Your Cold Case. I saw Ruckus in there too. All right, so let me. And the funny thing is, let's see here. All right, so let's play this here. There's going to be a commercial here, so give me a second. share this. There's going to be this is a commercial, so I got to wait for the commercial to get done. These people know I need a generator.
This was out of the blue today. I did not expect this.
Okay, so the woman talking is the survivor. And like I said, she has her own podcast, Borowski. So this is the home they were searching. This is on Ayers Road in Kellyville, New Hampshire. It's basically, like I said, part of Newport.
Investigators tell us they're searching for physical evidence relating to a cold case, but they have not said which unsolved case that is.
These are court-authorized search warrants that are under seal, and we can't discuss what the cases are.
Sources tell News 9 Investigates the search is related to the Connecticut River Valley serial killings, which happened in the late 1970s and 80s. This afternoon, we saw investigators taking pictures of what appeared to be an old rug.
So this rug here is interesting here because maybe they got some fibers that they're testing off of this rug.
What appeared to be an old rug.
It could be something, it could be nothing.
So this is Jane Borowski. She was a victim. She was a victim down in West Swansea, which is a little bit out of the way of the Upper Valley in New Hampshire. It's kind of more to the southwest, but it's still kind of in that same proximity of roads and highways and stuff. And she actually survived. She was stabbed, I think, 20-something times. She was actually pregnant at the time.
And that's what we have to do is just wait and see.
Jane Borowski says she's keeping an open mind. She received a phone call from state police this morning giving her a heads up about the search.
They did inform me that this search warrant and the search was connected with the Connecticut River Valley cases.
Borowski was stabbed 27 times when she was 7 months pregnant in Swansea in 1988. She said a suspect was never identified in her case, but that the crime fits the profile of that serial killer.
I'm trying not to get emotional right now about it because, you know, there have been so many people, there's been so many persons of interest over the years, no real suspects. I mean, I'm always hopeful. Yeah, that's all we have.
And again, the Attorney General's office has not yet said what case it's investigating, but other families have been notified too. Mara Murray's sister Julie says the family is aware of this search and has been in contact with investigators. Murray disappeared in 2004. We're live in Newport. Hannah Cotter, WMUR News 9.
All right, so I'm going to go here. Give me a second. Let me share this here. You probably haven't heard of this before, but I know that Kelly's been doing a lot on this here. I forget his, I've actually contacted him on this, but he's done a lot on this too. Let me pull this up. I want to pull this up. It's important. Okay, so this is, let me actually just, shut up. All right, so here's kind of a map. This is 103. So if you go, this is also the John Stark Highway here. But if you go to the east of the, this way here, you go to Newport. And if you go this way here, you go to Claremont. But this is Ayers Road right here. And this is the house that they were searching here. And this has always been kind of that creepy house on this road here. This is Ayers Road right here, and this is the house that they were looking at here. Oops, right there. So if you go up here, there's that kind of barn there that they were looking at there. So, but what I want to try to do here is, I don't know if I can do this. I can. Maybe I can't. All right, so let me get out of this here. But this is where they were searching here, and two of the bodies that were found here in Kellyville, this part of New Hampshire, and I think hold on a second, let me get out of here. I know she gave a good. Um, funny thing is about her, she got attacked. She fought him off. Then she left, and he followed her. She went to a friend's house, and he followed her. And once she went to the door of the friend's house, he took off. And she gave a good description of the vehicle and everything. And it's strange how they haven't solved this case. There's been a couple of different suspects, but nothing solid. I know one guy confessed to the whole thing and then recounted his confession, and then nothing was ever done with that. All right. So here is a map of the entire area here. Back out a little bit. Okay, so this is 91. This is Vermont over in here. This is New Hampshire here. Here's Claremont. Here's Unity. One of the bodies was found in Unity. So if you take, this is where we just were, 103. This goes this way here to Claremont. So this is the road we were just on. But all the bodies are basically found in this general direction, this general area here. This is basically the upper valley. And if I do layering here, you'll see the river. One of the bodies was found over here in New London. At a nature's reserve. It's like kind of like a nature's reserve. There it is over here, New London here. So if you follow these roads here, this is what I'm getting at. Everything's basically in the same. Here's 91 here. This basically is the major highway that connects everything on the western side of New Hampshire and the eastern side of Vermont here. But this is, basically the highway. But this route here, 10, this is the route I'm on almost every single night here. And this is a route that you would go to if, you didn't want to take 91. And I think the person whoever did this and the person who might be responsible for this might be somebody that was associated with the hospitals here. Because if you go, hold on a second, we're going to go. So if you go to the Valley Regional Hospital here, let me back out here, which is right here. This is the Valley Regional Hospital in Claremont. And then if I did, let's just do, so there's literally like 4 or 5 different hospitals in this one region. You have the London Hospital over here, where one of the bodies was found. You have Valley Regional, which is in Claremont right here. You also have, let's see here, Dartmouth up here in Lebanon. And most of these victims were either nurses' aides or worked at hospitals. So if you check this out, then you go down to Keene or the Swansea area here. You also have the Keene there's a hospital right here in Keene. So this guy might have been traveling up this route here or up 91 at night, and might have been associated with the hospitals. So that's my whole take. Mexi's here. So I want to go. Give me a second here. I want to get some more stuff. Give me a second here. I'm gonna play this here. The thing is there's not a lot of stuff on this here. This, I should just play mine. Hold on a second. I've been trying to get her on my live for a while. But anyway, so that's the deal there, and I wanted to go over that because I've been following this case forever, and now that there's some movement on it, definitely helps. So I'll try to find some more. Hey, Mark, what's going on, buddy? Try to find some more stuff on that, so I can share it. But let's go over something else. I wanted to do this here. This is the Texas mom case here. But let's. This has been done. This was done a day ago. This is the Texas mom that disappeared after an affair and fight with husband. And I just got an update on this here too. So let's play this. Let me share this. Yeah, it's. I'm like fighting the raindrops out here. All of a sudden, started to want to rain as soon as I came out here. But I'm tired of doing these lives inside. It's warming up out. So let's watch this.
7773 or the North Mexico missing person matters, and many of the cases we cover come from you. This week's case takes us to Texas and the search for a mother of three. In a moment, we're going to take a closer look at the disappearance of.
I also can't wait to get some more information on the DNA from Rex Heuermann, because I'm pretty sure that he had property over here in Massachusetts back in the day too. So that'd be great to get his DNA on file.
Bianca Carrasco. Her sister will be joining us to talk more about the investigation, and a former FBI agent will also be with us who has been looking into this case. First, we have a few other cases we'd like to update you on this week, beginning with the mother of Madalina Kojakara. She has pleaded guilty of not reporting her daughter missing. Madalina vanished around Thanksgiving 2022. This is a case we have covered extensively. Madalina was last seen publicly getting off of a school bus in Cornelius, North Carolina, about 20 miles north of Charlotte. Diana Kojakari and Christopher Palmer, Madalina's stepfather, are awaiting trial on charges of failing to report her missing. According to the county judge, because Diana Kojakari is not a U.S. citizen and has now pleaded guilty to a felony, she will likely be deported. Madalina was just 11 years old at the time of her disappearance. Footage from December 2022 shows a young girl with a man in Sugar Mountain, North Carolina. Police say the footage was consistent with the appearance of Madalina and her only known blood relative in the U.S. However, to this day, investigators have not been able to confirm where this little girl is. Cornelius police are asking anyone who can help in this case and investigation to call 704-892-7773 or the North Mecklenburg Crime Stoppers line at 704-896-7867. The search is on for this man, 53-year-old Atio Brill.
Is that mourning doves? Is that what those are? Or are they different? I know they're back out at Rex's house again the other day. I'll be getting into that again tonight too. Thinking of owls, I've got ringneck doves with eggs in my planter. Keep them away from the hawks because they're they can lay up to 5 clutches a year. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, so let's go back to this here.
Brillenborg. He was last seen in Malibu Saturday, May 18th. According to the Daily Beast, Brillenborg's father, who shares the same name, is the stepfather of Princess Tatiana of Greece and Denmark. Brillenborg was last seen in a neighborhood of luxury homes and estates near Escondido Falls, California. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department says there is concern for his well-being, and they're asking anyone with information to contact the Homicide Bureau at 323-890-5500. More than 10,000 of you have watched our story on Julie Vesegalt online. Julie is an aviation enthusiast who left her apartment in January, never to be seen again. Julie was living in Elk Grove, California at the time of her disappearance, and although she was having some struggles, I spoke with her sister and a friend who say they do not believe that Julie would have left without telling them where she was going.
Based on the things that I know of her, I've known her nearly 20 years, and she always reached out on a post stating that she needed a hug or is there anyone able to talk? And I had her number and I would call it, and that the circumstances, just everything that's added up just doesn't seem, in my opinion, for her to have been voluntarily driving away. I just don't see that as being, at least my own personal opinion, that that's what's happened. I think something more sinister may have happened to her.
A photo of Julie's car was spotted on surveillance driving through town around the time she vanished. She did have an appointment that day at the DMV that she never showed up for, and her car has not been located. It could be the key piece to solving this case. The car is a 2005 Toyota Camry. The center console has wood grain, which sets it apart from a lot of other models. There's also minor damage on the front left bumper in the front of the driver's side of the vehicle. If you have any information that can help bring Julie home or answers to her family, contact the Elk Grove Police Department at 916-478-8299. In our missing segment this week, we take you to Texas for a case we got a lot of viewer requests to cover. Bianca Carrasco was 29 years old, a registered nurse with 3 young children at home when she disappeared in 2016. 8 years later, her family says they are
This case sucks. This is a horrible case here.
no closer to getting answers. We reached out to the San Antonio Police Department for any information.
Hey, Honeybee, how are you? Good to see you. Honeybee's in the house. Hope you're doing well, Honeybee.
That they could give us on this case and investigation. They have not responded to our request. We also tried to speak with Bianca's husband, who allegedly told police that she took off one night after an argument. That story has never sat well with Bianca's friends and family, who say she would never have abandoned her kids. As a nurse and a mother, she dedicated her life to helping others, and now her family is asking for our help and yours to find her.
A new billboard in San Antonio and a renewed push to find.
Wow, San Antonio's really gotten crazy. I mean, there's just so many cases going on in San Antonio right now.
Bianca Carrasco.
Just another one.
Missing since 2016.
She is still the funniest person I've ever met.
No, I'll be getting back into it in a couple seconds, honey. B. The thing about some of the cases around here, it's really hard to find a lot of information on them because, you know, they were done. I know the Connecticut River Valley Killer thing was done 70s and 80s, so there wasn't a lot of. You'd have to get everything in print.
To this day,
The fond description of a beloved sister.
And the other one, the Maine South, Woodsman guy, there's absolutely nothing on that because it's, SWs. There's just a couple of write-ups, a couple of videos, and but I know all three of them. So we'll be getting back into that shortly here.
Sister, also a wife and mother with a huge heart.
very compassionate, and that's what made her a wonderful nurse.
We all just kind of became friends and hung out.
Julie Stinson met Carrasco in nursing school, both young moms. She says Bianca's husband was often away working in the oil fields, but they seemed like a cute couple.
I saw him tie her shoes whenever she was pregnant instead of her having to bend over.
But Bianca's sister says by the time the couple moved to San Antonio, their relationship was rocky, and Bianca's husband frequently shared their troubles with family members.
It was almost like he was panicked that he was losing her.
Bianca, meanwhile, was said to be confiding to coworkers about an affair she'd had and her husband's reaction when he found out.
She was sharing a lot with her coworkers about what was going on.
It's always the husband. It's 80%, I think. I think it's like 70 to 80%. If somebody goes unalived, it's by somebody they know. I think that's pretty close.
And they actually knew a lot more than I did.
They said she even joked as she left work the Friday before she disappeared.
Well, if I go missing, you know what happened to me.
Giovanna says that Sunday she spoke to her sister around 2 p.m. and offered to come take the kids to get them away from the fighting.
She told me, no, it was okay. It'll be okay. We're going to get a divorce.
Bianca seemed calm, but the next day, no response to Giovanna's repeated messages.
My phone was very quiet, so I hadn't heard from her, and I hadn't heard from him.
Around 4 p.m, she reached Bianca's husband.
He said, yeah, we got into a big fight last night, and she left.
She says he told her Bianca had left their San Antonio home on foot, and he passed her a short time later when he left for work, taking their youngest child, but leaving their 9-year-old and 10-year-old home alone. Giovanna says his calm answer was a red flag.
For weeks, he had been contacting anybody who would listen. And then all of a sudden, Monday, I get a hold of him and he's calm and has no concern about where she's at. That doesn't add up to me.
Bianca's sister filed a missing person report with San Antonio police. It says Bianca's husband told them Bianca had an affair and also
This is strange here. Also gave back a wedding ring.
gave back her wedding ring, suggesting that's why she left.
He says that Bianca took off walking down the street and
It's really hard. It's hard to cover some of these cases because you hear about them all the freaking time, and it gets sometimes mundane. These victims here, they just have no escape. There's no way out. They just say, "Why don't you just get a divorce?" That's not so easy. And sometimes that makes it worse. And I hear about these things. It's because it's easy, to say husband, but sometimes you can't prove it. And just domestic problems here. It sucks. This is horrible. This person had no reason to unalive this person whatsoever.
That he passed her. She's not going to just leave the kids in bed by themselves and take off walking.
Something needs to be done because this happens way too often. It's just it's just there's no way out for some of these people. You can't do anything. Look at Micah Miller. I mean, it's just perfect example of just there's nowhere to go.
Anywhere.
Stinson began analyzing Bianca and her husband's phone records from that night, noting her last activity at 8:08 when she arrived home.
She sent out a text message. Then there's no activity on either phone until 10:22 when he makes his first phone call, and her phone is turned off at 10:22 as well and never turned back on.
To this day, her disappearance remains unsolved.
The group, Project Abstensis, made up of former law enforcement, is now posting about the case. And they've sent messages to Bianca's husband on TikTok.
We would love to give you a polygraph test. We would love to clear you. And since there's been little to no progress on this case, it's frustrating.
Bianca's family and friends are hoping the renewed focus on the case will bring answers, especially for her children.
She didn't just take off and never think about them again and leave them. She didn't. And I want them to know that more than anything.
All right. So, I mean, I watch a lot of true crime drama stuff, Nightline, Night, all of these, different trials and stuff, different cases. It's always the husband. They go into it where there's so many other suspects, and you're like, no, it's going to be the husband. Spoiler alert. All right, so what I want to do here, I'm going to get back to this other one here. Give me a second here. I pulled up my stuff on this Connecticut River Valley thing here. Yep, right here. So this is one of the victims here. This is my video here. This is the one I did on the Connecticut River Valley killing. I did this. When did I do this? I forget now. 8 months ago. Okay, so this is Catherine Milliken. So. Okay, I got this on Facebook, so let's go back to the beginning here. So this body was found October 28, 1978. Her body was found in the fall. This is the one that was found in New London, New Hampshire, and she was 26 years old. She was this is the one where she was taking. She was a photographer, and she was birding over at a preserve over there in New London. So this is basically everything we covered in the reading. So this is New London here. We were just there on the map, and this is right off of Route 11 here. But if you follow this, you get on 89 and you get on 91 here. So the MO is pretty similar. All of these victims were unalived by sharp objects here. Like I said, I think 30 to 40 or 50% of these were all either nursing students or Hey, Luis, how are you? I just saw you too over there on HCC. Um, anytime Who's Your Cold Case has a live, I try to catch it because he's just so interesting guy. He's just got great shit. Um, very good person. So to submit a tip to New Hampshire State Police at 1-800-525-5555 if you know anything about this case. And that's that one there. Let's see if I can find another victim here. This is this was Mary Elizabeth Critchley. So this one here was found in Unity. This is the one where they couldn't do that much of an autopsy on her because she was too she was just too there's nothing really left of her, but they still ruled it suspicious. They don't know. And she was found in disappeared in 1981, and she was found in 1991. So she was found there was nothing left of her. She was last seen alive in Framingham. So apparently she went down. Her boyfriend gave her a ride down to Framingham, Massachusetts, and she hitchhiked back up to Vermont. Because that's where she lived. She was going to college up there. She was attending the college up there, and then she was found in Unity, New Hampshire, which is right off of Route 10, Massachusetts, near exit 13 in July. So that's better. So a friend just drops her off at the exit. So this is the Mass Pike. We were just there. I'm pulling up my old stuff because in order to find all of these write-ups and videos on these victims, it's like pulling teeth. So I'm just going to go over mine. So this is Framingham. I've been down here millions of times. This is the Mass Pike here. So she came down here to visit somebody, I think, and then she hit back up to Vermont. That's where she was unalived. I don't know what I'm doing. That's exactly where we were. So she was far. So this is Waterbury, Vermont. So she was taking classes at the University of Vermont, which is way up in here. And again, the same routes, 91. You know, it's all the same percent. So she was dropped off and she was planning to hitchhike back. That's just a bad combination right there. You know, just is. So her body was found way up here. So I travel this road almost. I'm a route driver, so I travel this road almost every single night. And she was found right in right in this vicinity. So somebody had to know this area. This is not something that you can just find, um, out of the blue, especially when she was, heading all the way back to Upper Vermont. So this is all woods in here. It's all rural here. There's no big cities in here. Very few people, and this is like 5 or 6 miles away from Air Street in Newport, where they were searching last week. So dead of the summer here. I believe there was 2 bodies that were found in the same vicinity. Um, sure, anyways. One they couldn't determine the cause of death, the other one they could. They were found 500 feet from each other. I got another one here. Okay, so this is another one here. This is Bernice Quartermatch. She was, I think she was the one that was found in the same. So she was missing for almost 2 years before her remains were found. This is Claremont, New Hampshire, right here. That was Claremont. This is Claremont. Long time ago. She was last seen alive around 3:30 p.m. on May 30th, 1984. And I'm already starting to see some sort of a pattern here with the hair. She was reported missing the next day. I think this was the person that was on the phone because she was creeped out by somebody that was following her. I'm pretty sure this one. She was actually on a payphone with her sister, I think. Look at this cop car. You don't see those anymore. So at the time, it was believed Quartermatch was hitchhiking. Another similarity here. Cat Hole Road in Newport. I was wrong. This is not the person that was found in Unity. But this is Newport here. This is Claremont. This is the road, 103. I believe this is Ayers Road right here. And that's where we just were. So this. So same MO here. Yeah. So that's her. And I think I got, who else do I have on here? Oh, this is the one here. Okay, so this is, so this is Ellen Freed here. This is the one that was talking to his sister on the phone. So July 20th, she was last seen about a year and 2 months before she was seen talking on a phone. I'm just going to let my video speak for itself. I'm going to stop talking. These payphones are always put in strategic locations too. You know, a lot of these convenience stores back then had the payphone right there. So if you came to use the payphone, you might think about going inside. So these are all of the counties in New Hampshire here, regions. This is definitely Upper Valley here. And here's, you know, this is considered the Connecticut River Valley here, all the way down to just north of Keene, and getting a drink or something too. So they were strategically placed outside of businesses. So this is the one. This is one of the reasons why they may be searching for that in that house there that we were just at in Kellyville. I think this guy was probably some sort of a doctor or a nurse's aide or somebody that was associated with there. So Kellyville is basically Newport. It's the same town really. It's just an outside of Newport, but I think it's its own town, but it's known as Newport. So here it's saying an autopsy could not determine a cause of death. We'll see what else. Investigators said evidence at the scene suggested she had been sexually assaulted. Doesn't make any sense. So again, we have conflicting reports here. I don't trust WMUR at all. But that is, they're probably getting their information from the Hampshire unsolved case files. So I don't know. Here it's saying post-mortem examination revealed evidence of multiple stab wounds and probable sexual assault. So I don't know where they're getting that from. Where here they're saying that. All right, so enough of my talking there. Wikipedia is probably a little bit more accurate in here. All right, so let's get out of there. This next one, this next one I'm going to play is the one that I don't think is involved, but it could be. So here we go. Stop screen. Stop the music.
To a gruesome scene.
It was one of the first warm, sunny days of the spring. The temperature was in the mid-50s. A lot of people were out and active. Linda herself had been seen outside, you know, in the late morning, early afternoon hours on a chaise lounge. You know, she had a radio, listening to a radio, you know, just soaking up the spring sun.
The couple lived on Route 121 outside of the village of Saxtons River, Vermont.
You would think that they do, and I think that's why they were searching that house, that rug, or they might have gotten the tip last week. Definitely going to keep following this case here because I'd like to see. I mean, this guy's got to be in his 70s if he's still alive, but I know that Jane Borowski she deserves some freaking closure, at least some sort of. She was brutally attacked. I mean, that poor woman. If you guys want to watch a really good podcast, go to this one here because this woman here, Invisible Tears podcast, she's a hell of a woman to survive that, and I believe her daughter survived too. It's just a brutal story. So we'll go.
At a radio, listening to a radio, just.
Yeah, radios used to be very popular. Oh, shut up, jeez! I wish I would stop. Not so much anymore. Evening.
Indication that it was a forced entry. Nothing was ransacked or out of order in the house. The assault had occurred, and then the assailant had left.
I mean, the only thing that does make sense is if she was outside. I don't necessarily think that there would be a, sign of forced entry, right? So ransack basically means
It was a violent, probably a brief struggle. She had defensive wounds. She fought for her life.
I mean, they look like a decent couple, right? Picture tells 1,000 words or something like that. I don't know.
And she fought hard.
This case here, I don't think is connected, but it could be. This guy right here is a little suspect to me. But let's get out of here. I'm going to get out of here for a second. Like I said, I don't think they're all connected. This one here, Saxons River, Vermont, is, strange to me. But here's Saxons River. This is on the other side. So 91 is here. I believe she was at a toll. She was at a one of those rest stops over here too. But this is a little far away from all the other where the other ones were. It could be. I mean, I know law enforcement is saying they're all connected, but who knows? All right, we'll get back to that in a while. I'll go move on to something else. Like I said, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on these guys here. All right, so this clown's been in the news again here. This was done a few days ago. This is more on BTK here. Let me share this. Stop this here. I think this guy moved because go over that in a little bit too. The New Haven unaliver. So let's go to BTK here. There we go.
Raider, known as BTK, may have spent more time and effort publicizing his kills than actually doing the killings. Among the many, many letters and packages that he mailed out and planted in the public was a word puzzle. Back in 2004, he sent that word puzzle to a Kansas TV station. That was 13 years after his last known murder. And it was 1 year before he got caught. So he got caught, he was arrested, and he later pled guilty to 10 murders. And the judge put him away for 10 consecutive life sentences. But now he might be facing another life sentence, maybe even the death penalty. Because back in April, somebody mailed this 2004 word puzzle of raiders. They mailed it to the Oklahoma sheriff. The sheriff who's investigating a cold case, a teenage girl's disappearance from back in 1976. That TV station had already pieced together several key words, including prowl and fantasies. And then the detectives found even more, including Rader's address, the names of his 10 admitted victims, and then these words and names: Cindy, Kinney, Laundromat, Pawhuska, and Kahika. Cindy Kinney was the 16-year-old cheerleader who disappeared from a laundromat on Kahika Avenue in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. She was never found. So is this proof positive that Dennis Rader killed Cindy Kinney, even though he's never admitted it? I'm joined.
I don't believe everything that BTK says. I've been on this record stating that for a long time. I think he's full of shit sometimes. He's definitely a serial killer, but I think he's one of those guys that just is looking for attention sometimes.
Joined now by Sheriff Eddie Verdon of Osage County, Oklahoma. Sheriff, thanks for coming back on the show. Is it any chance that this word puzzle and these words that have been strung
This guy right here is awesome. He's such a great cop.
together could be coincidence, or is it just way too much coincidence?
Well, you know, the lady that sent it to me has spent a lot of time, did a lot of research, reached out, shared that information with us, and then we've been looking at a lot of different things. So we share.
And I keep saying it all the time. I think this guy Heumann is, I don't know. He's, my opinion, is almost identical to BTK. He's the same kind of guy.
Shared that with some of the other investigators that have been working on the case with us and others, and found so many things that related. And then when we started, you know, really looking into the map, you know, the way that he put his address in there, his names in there, you know, it's along the same pattern type. But when you go to put all of the victims, known victims' names in it, and then many other details, we know Dennis was much more methodical. He put a lot of time and effort. And of course, when you look at something like this, you've got to say, how would he have been able to create that? And, you know, through research, we found out there was computer programs where you could put a list of names and different things, and then it would scramble it and put it into a form. But in addition to that, you know, there's some people that feel there's a lot of different things in this, including mapping, mileages, and other information. So again, you know, this is just one of many things that we found, and we're going to continue to go through and get answers on our case.
Sheriff, does any evidence still exist? Any hard evidence that was retrieved from his home, like hard drives and computers that maybe a really good forensic scientist and analyst could go over to see if maybe he...
Yeah, BTK. BTK is a strange dude. You know, he. You know, a lot of these unalivers don't want, but I think that BTK kind of wanted to get caught at some point because he just wanted the attention. You know, he didn't want anybody to take credit for what he did. You know, sometimes I think he fabricates things, especially when it comes to stuff that he didn't do.
employed one of those programs back then to scramble his selected choice words into a word puzzle. Like if you found that, it'd be game over, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's, you know, that's one thing that we're...
I mean, I've probably watched his court trial over and at least 1,000 times. BTK is probably the serial killer I've followed more than anybody. Other serial killers, not more than anybody, but just more than any other SKer. I just think he's full of bullshit sometimes. He just, it's all an attention thing. And, you know, it's...
hoping for is not only, you know, additional...
I was just hoping that they would connect him to another crime in a state that has the DP, but it happened.
Information with the computers and other things, but, you know, also items collected. You know, there could be a possibility of connecting them to our victim. And
I remember him saying that when he got arrested, he was shocked that there wasn't more cops and more. He wanted it to be like this huge extravaganza of an arrest, and it so wasn't. And he was so upset about that. He's just an awful person.
all that is, there's a tremendous amount that we've done on this, and it's ongoing.
Good. He deserves it. He deserves that. Absolutely. The guy. But, those who are in true crime got to cover this shit. It's just, they just can't stand the guy.
Going and, every day we find additional.
That guy deserves the worst possible punishment that could ever be doled out. I mean, just
things that we hope will bring us the answers.
Sheriff Burton, I wish you the best. It is a puzzle. It is a very disturbing piece. But if it leads to some closure for Cynthia Kinney's family, I sure hope you and your team can get that for them. Thank you for being on. Please keep us posted and come back. Thank you for watching.
All right. So that's the end of that there. Hold on a second. I want to share something really quick. I want to thank everybody for coming in. I really appreciate that. Hopefully, Honeybee's doing well. Hopefully, you're doing well, Miranda, Dandy. I do want to share this really quick, and then I'm going to get to. So this guy here. So this is why I'm saying I think the guy that responsible for the Connecticut River Valley unalivings moved, because between I'll put this here, I think between March 1988 and April 1989, you have the New Bedford highway killer, and he was an unidentified serial killer responsible for at least 9 women and 2 additional women in New Bedford, Massachusetts between 1988 and April 1899. And I'm pretty sure that the MOs are pretty similar. So let's play this.
For a serial killer more than 30 years after the last victim was found.
The New Bedford highway murders terrorized the South Coast back in the 80s. And as chief investigator Cheryl Fiandaco reports, one victim's family believes
this was done 3 years ago.
The case is one tip away from being solved.
From WBZ TV4, the skeletal remains of a young woman have been found along a southeastern Massachusetts highway.
Investigators hope
the bodies of women started showing up in March of 1988. All had disappeared from the same area in New Bedford.
It was ludicrous not to admit that it was a serial killer.
Months later, when the killing spree ended.
So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 victims here. In I think a year and a half. And notice the appearance of these. Most of them were dark haired.
Police had 9 murders on their hands and 2 women still missing. Maureen Boyle wrote a book about the investigation.
You had the remains of woman after woman after a woman found along the 2 highways, similar situations, similar backgrounds. They were all addicted to drugs. That was the unifying element.
the killings have left residents and merchants in the square edgy.
I knew something was wrong. I had such a bad feeling.
Judy's sister, Nancy Paiva, became the second victim of the New Bedford highway killer. The 36-year-old mom was last seen leaving a local bar. Her body was discovered weeks later off of 195 in Dartmouth.
And every time I drive by the area, I'm always looking.
What are you looking for?
Just to remember that somebody just thought she was trash and could dispose of her so easily. Makes me angry.
It was her case that really got things moving.
Former New Bedford police detective Richard Ferreira and his partner investigated Nancy's murder and connected her case to the others.
I think we might have a serial murder around here. And that's when we discovered it.
They say the remains are that of a woman in her late teens or early 20s.
But that would be the only discovery. Over the years, police identified suspects, but no one was ever charged with the murders.
It's the most difficult.
I just think it's really strange that the unalivings here for the Connecticut River Valley guy ended in 1988, and all of a sudden this other guy starts taking over in Connecticut, which is, I don't know, not very far away from 1988 to 1989. Too convenient.
Case I've ever investigated. The hardest thing for me is the families, and particularly the families of the two girls that we never recovered the remains of. That really haunts me.
Do you think the killer is getting away with it or got away with it?
I hope not.
Now, more than 30 years later, hope is all Nancy's sister and the other families have left.
I believe someone knows something. I made her a promise I would never give up, and I won't.
Investigators who worked on this case say with little physical evidence and no video, the best chance of solving this case will likely come down to a tip, and are asking anyone who may have any information to contact state or New Bedford police.
So I think it's just strange that you had these unalivings going on shortly after the other ones, and no one's ever been caught. Just definitely keep covering it for sure. All right, so let's go here. I want to this to this is more on the Kansas mom unalivings here. So let me stop this. This case here too is just
Stupid mess ups. And that is, he had a bandage.
I hate to say this because it kind of takes away from the victims and stuff like that, but these people who did this are the stupidest people on the planet. And thankfully,
On his right finger and told some stories several times to several people that didn't match. And he asked a friend some very, very incriminating.
I mean, if you're going to commit a crime like this, don't do it like these people did it. It's just really dumb.
Questions. So walk me through all of that.
It's so interesting. You were waiting for him to get arrested and kept wondering why he hadn't gotten arrested when the police were busy figuring out.
Yeah, this guy here who did these crimes and those unalivings was very clean, and that's telling me, especially the Connecticut River Valley. I think he was some sort of a doctor, or it's hard for me to believe that he wasn't part of the medical field.
How many mistakes he had made along the way that they can use against him at trial. One of the major mistakes that he made was that he used the kind of O.J. Simpson, how I cut myself defense, which it changed initially when the police asked him about it. He said that he had cut it, working on his car, on his truck. And then later he told a friend or an acquaintance that he had cut it by working on a fence. He was cutting fence, and that's how he cut it. So that changed. He also, which was most incredible, went and talked to someone who ended up being a witness to the police and told the police that he had asked questions about how long DNA can last deep in the ground in dirt. He also wanted to know if there was some sort of a guide who could get a family out of the country to go to Mexico. How do you get a guy and his family out of the country?
Unbelievable. You know, you hear these things all the time, right? And you would think that people would be smarter than this by now, right?
It's interesting, too, that he, was just busy chatting about different things. Can you get DNA?
It's kind of strange to me, though, how they contacted Mara Murray's family, too, the state police this week on that Connecticut River Valley thing. That is odd to me.
Off of different things. I mean, and when I was reading this, the affidavit that went with the search warrant, it was just quite incredible. Like during that time, I think he, based on what we're seeing in the affidavit, thought about running but wasn't sure how to do it. So he had to check with a whole bunch of different witnesses. When
To
I'm
ask a
talking to the
friend,
police.
Because Mara Murray went missing in New Hampshire too.
Oh dear. Talk about a time you shouldn't call a friend. All right, let's talk about that iPhone. I want to go rapid fire. I got 6 more things I want to ask you. The iPhone repair guy turns the phone over to the cops. Wow. Do we know why he was suspicious?
Well, I think everybody kind of knew as soon as these women disappeared, there was stuff in the news about the custody battle. I mean, that happened pretty quickly, that there was bad blood. And that Tiffany also had a reputation as a very small community, as Brian has told you many times. And so I think he probably knew about that. But he also, the thing you didn't mention is he gave it back to her. So the police were able to track, and it says this in the affidavit, that generally people return to the scene of a crime. They were able to see what she was up to, who she was writing to after the crime. And she thought, oh, they don't know that I have this phone. I mean, and she could move around with it and they could still ping it and everything like that. So he was very helpful to the authorities and likely will be a big witness.
Phones show, if she had the phones on her, if she is a killer, the phones show where you were at all points of the day. So if
But
you
I mean,
took the phone along
after
for the
the
ride with
police,
burner phones, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but after the police took that data, they gave it back to the phone repair guy who gave it back to Grandma Tiffany. So she was still moving around.
Brilliant. Okay, so I wanted to ask you, I'm going to ask you about the victims' iPhones too. What did they, because we've been wondering where their phones were. What do we know?
It was in Cole Twombly's truck. I mean, not a very good fact for the Twombly, I mean,
are you kidding me?
It's just such a tragedy, this whole thing. I mean, it's these people that, it's just a real tragedy. But it was in their truck.
They didn't even think to bury the iPhones with the victims. They kept the iPhones in the truck. Okay, let's talk about the burial. 10 feet down always amazed me. Now we've come to find out that the women were buried in a freezer chest 10 feet under. I have all sorts of theories, but what do we know about it?
Well, we don't really know, but I also have a theory because I know how carefully they tried to cover the area. We were able to show on your show that area, how they put hay over it, how they put bricks, concrete inside to make the ground level. But I think this is an area with a lot of animals. And if there's any kind of smell coming from the ground, you're going to have animals gathering around there and digging things up. And I think that was a perfect way to kind of seal the women in. And the worst part about it to me, when I thought about it, was just that these women were never going to be found. I mean, if it hadn't, I guess been for the confidential witness and all this other evidence we're now learning about, I mean, their families never would have known what happened to them.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
All right, so that's that. I do want to play this here. This is what I've been looking for pretty much since I've been on here, but I found it. So this was an episode done. I'll probably get struck for this, but what are you going to do? This was an episode done on Unsolved Mysteries years ago, probably more than 5 years ago now. But this was done on the Connecticut River Valley guy. So I'll play this here.
What is going on
This guy here did a lot of work in the case.
in the mind of a killer? I'll go back to the scenes, using what I have learned and simply going through what might have happened, just as though I were him.
I'll do anything you like.
What am I hearing then? Do I hear the noise of the river going by, or is that blocked out? Am I so focused on the activity of killing that I don't hear that? What does it tell me about this person's ability to perceive in terms of sound, in terms of what I'm feeling, in terms of what I'm able to see? Part of what goes on with this killer is that he has a very strong need to take these women away alive.
I think this guy was a what do they call those guys? It slips my mind now. He's a forensic analyst he was a forensic analyst and profiler, I think.
Transport them to the site that he has pre-selected, during which time clearly he owns them. They are his to do with whatever he wishes. And part of that, I think, is this.
So this here is the Jane, I believe this is the Jane Borowski account here.
This process of scaring the daylights out of him.
Midnight, August 8th, 1988.
Yes, that's Robert Stack.
Winchester, New Hampshire. A 23-year-old woman named Jane was on her way home from a county fair when she stopped for a soft drink. It was a hot, muggy evening, and Jane was 7 months pregnant. If there was a serial killer on the loose, this was a perfect setting for him to...
So this is the vehicle that she, I believe she identified was kind of like a Jeep Wagoneer. Remember the old Jeep Wagoneers with the paneling on the sides? This was a very popular vehicle back in the 80s. This thing was a beast.
To find a victim.
So this guy waits for her to get in her car. I think she was heading back from the fair. She went to the Cheshire Fair, and she was heading back. Her story is just incredible.
Does that phone work?
I don't know. Hey, come on, leave me alone. No!
So he waits for her to be in like the almost vulnerable possible situation.
Okay, if you want to be that way. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Just don't hurt me. I'm pregnant, okay? Please don't hurt me.
Come on.
What do you want?
This is going to be triggering.
You hurt my girlfriend real bad.
I didn't hurt anybody.
It's a Massachusetts car, isn't it?
No, it's New Hampshire. It's New Hampshire.
At some point, Jane tried to break away, and the killer's apparent plans to abduct her went awry.
He had walked all the way to his vehicle, and by this time I was rolled over to my belly and started getting up on my hands and knees. And when he was driving by me, he just looked right down at me. He just looked at me and just kept driving. I could feel the blood rushing out of me. And I thought I was gonna die. I kept telling myself, Jane, you're gonna die. That's all I could think of. And I just felt like I had to get to my friend's house to get help.
Although Jane had been stabbed or slashed a total of 18 times, she somehow managed to crawl back to her car.
So you get so many different conflicting reports, 18, 17, 27. It just, I go by New Hampshire cold case files, so I think she was stabbed like 20 times or so.
Drive to a friend's house 2 miles away.
She had the ability to get back in the car. She's 6-7 months pregnant, I think. She was just brutally attacked, and this woman is just amazing.
When I left the parking lot, I felt like I was going fast. I was driving fast. I was in shock, of course, so I'm really not sure how fast I was driving. But evidently pretty fast, because before I knew it, I was right behind him. And as I was behind him, all I could think about was he was going to stop, or he was going to turn around and follow me. He left me for dead. I know he left me for dead. No doubt about that.
When Jane reached her friend's house, her attacker drove on.
Frank. Frank.
Up the road, the attacker turned back. He stopped momentarily in front of the house, then disappeared into the night.
Vital signs at this time are BP 90 over 60. We have a pulse.
Miraculously, none of the stab wounds hit vital organs or Jane's 7-month-old fetus. 2 months later, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl.
If you feel more comfortable with your eyes closed, if you choose to close your eyes.
Jane agreed to undergo hypnosis with John Philpin and was able to provide a graphic eyewitness.
So that's her story. I just wanted to run that by people. It's just, it's one of those things. It's why I get involved in this stuff, because I want to try to, get some answers for these people. All right, so I'm going to go here. Hold on a second, then I'll get out of here. I want to thank everybody for being patient with me tonight. But I just wanted to cover this case because it's been following it forever. So this is going back to the Micah Miller case here.
People who just are not buying the evidence in North Carolina tonight. Evidence that the troubled wife of an abusive pastor there took her life in a state park just hours after buying a gun by herself. Micah Miller's family had questioned the police version of events since the very beginning. And tonight, in an exclusive interview with News Nation, one of Micah's closest friends says she also does not buy it when investigators insist that Micah died by suicide. Angela Clark says the facts just don't add up.
I mean, none of it makes sense. She dressed for work and she was scared. I don't understand. When I see the footage from the pawn shop, I see a Micah who has been crying a lot.
Not buying it.
I'm not buying it.
What do you want the FBI to know, or what do you want authorities to look at?
I think there's a lot of information there, and I think they need to dig a little bit more. I mean, obviously, my last text with her was at 9:19 on Friday night. We were talking about her car payment and her coming to church.
Angela describes her friend Micah as being scared to get out of her marriage, but getting it together and looking forward to the next time they would see each other, which would have been the Sunday after Micah died. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the...
All right, so that's that there. Let me share this here. Let's get down. So this is the vehicle here. This is a Jeep Grand Wagoneer, very popular back in the day. You don't see vehicles like this anymore, but that's kind of what it looked like. I do want to, give me 2 seconds. I want to bring this up here because I may come back on later and do this. So this is, let me read this here. This is what I'm going to do next, I think. Let me stop sharing that. This is what I wanted to do, because I wanted to go over this cold case from Michigan here. But I'll probably come back on and do some of this. So this is a cold case I looked up. This is Paige Rankowski. And she was a substitute school teacher from Okemos, Michigan, who disappeared in May 1990. She was last seen talking to two guys on the shoulder of Interstate 96 in Fowlerville, Michigan. So this is her. And I'm going to try to deep dive this here to see what's going on here with this here. So they found her Oldsmobile, but it was not processed as a crime scene because at the time it was considered by the responding officers an abandoned vehicle. The car was undamaged and the door was unlocked. So she had borrowed this car, I think, from her mother to do some stuff. So I'll probably come back on and do a pretty decent deep dive on this here. Her disappearance is one of Michigan's longest running cold cases. Her vehicle was reported abandoned, so we know that. And police did not process this as suspicious because they merely just towed the vehicle. So I'll be covering that shortly. I wanted to do that tonight, but I wanted to do part of the Connecticut River Valley Killer because there's been some movement on that this week, and I'll keep an eye on that. All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank Miranda Lee for coming in, Dandy Lioness, Louise was in here. Thank you very much. Honeybee was in here. Honeybee's great. Dandy Lioness was in here. I think Ruckus was in here for a couple seconds. Jocelyn was in here. Jocelyn's awesome. Jocelyn has a great channel. If you're still in here, Jocelyn, you can definitely post that. Anybody that has a channel can post it in here. Yes. His DNA can't be, I didn't see that. Sorry, Dandy. It's terrible. Who else is in here? Miranda Lee, thank you for coming in. Everybody else, everybody watching on replay, thank you so much for all your support. And let me get back down here. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys very much for coming in. I'll play my outro and then get the hell out of here. But I may come back on a little later and do some of that other case. I hope everybody has a great Memorial weekend. Don't forget everybody that's paid the ultimate sacrifice for everything that we have in this wonderful country. All right, so everybody have a great night. Thank you.